If you want to be around the people in life that will inspire you the most, Tai Lopez is probably among the top. He is someone that has achieved a tremendous amount of wealth, resources, and prowess in what we consider to be a social, beautiful human life. So I tell you, when I say I've been to Tai Lopez's house, that I learned a shitload. And frankly speaking, I would recommend to anyone else that has the ability to spend the time and energy, that has the inspiration to do it, to go and spend some time listening to those mentors. What did I learn at Tai's house? Well, I learned how important it is to not only make money, but also to keep it. And so few of us are actually taught the necessary things to make sure that that money stays with us. So when it comes to buying houses like this, when it comes to buying opportunities, like perhaps going to a mastermind, going to the beautiful things that educate us to be better, be greater people, right? We have to realize that the bottom line and the top line, they matter. Your gross revenue when it comes to your company matters. So how do you go about building that? Well, one of the main things that I learned from Tai was the importance of a personal brand versus the importance of AI and technology in the world today. So basically he was saying that if you want to be wealthy in 2025, if you want to be wealthy in the next couple of years, first and foremost, you need to concentrate on which of these two things actually is of use to you. So personal brand basically means an ambiance that you set for people, a following, of a message that comes out to you. And make sure that it holds and congeals everything together. One of the main ones that he talked about was having 12 points, 12 little things that will inspire people to think about the things that you think are valuable. For me, one of the main things that I've learned in life is that wealth, the concept of giving, the concept of having a tremendous amount of influence on the things around us come from a deep understanding of nature. They come from a deep understanding of really all of the different aspects that nature satisfies in order to be organic, in order to actually maintain the ecosystem, in order to maintain the sustainability of something. Now, the other thing that I realized from what Tai was saying is that when it comes to wealth, when it comes to creating money in life, a lot of us fail to recognize the different scales that are occurring constantly. So when we think about, Donald Trump, when we think about Joe Biden or any of these big politicians and these families that have been around for hundreds of years, what are these people thinking on the regular? What is it that inspires them? Who are the people that they're interacting with? Who are their lawyers? What is their team, right? The importance of realizing the little things is you have to understand the scale. The scale is just completely different. You're basically like looking at a microbe under a microscope versus perhaps an ant on the ground, perhaps humans when we're facing things, or when we scope all the way out, we're looking at the planet from the stars. Now, I say this to you because without an understanding of the first rung, without an understanding of the first thing, our level, where we're at in comparison to where we want to be, we're never going to realize the thought difference that's required, the real philosophical difference that's required, the knowledge difference, the effort difference that's required. So it was very, very enlightening to go to his house and him give an awesome seminar about the things that he was teaching, about the things that he thinks about regularly, about wealth, about, what is it that really is the magnum opus of someone that is making $100 million a year versus someone that's making $1 billion a year. A lot of the similarities that exist in the human condition also are our emotional well-being. Part of the reason that I made this channel is because I want to make sure that the catalysts in society, y'all who are leaders, are actually spending the time and energy to build your emotional intelligence, to build that life that you actually value. Because without it, all of this money and all of these great things that you aspire for, they're not going to have nearly the impact that you will want. So a lot of what I was thinking about when he was talking was, listen, like, are you sure you want this stuff? Are you sure that that's the life that you want to live? He was saying that one of the biggest things, lessons to learn as an entrepreneur in general is, what is it that you want? Know thyself. Know thyself. Other stuff that he talked about that was very, very useful was the little examples that he created for people. So he was talking about the way that he constructed stories. He would talk about specific examples of what occurred in his life, what occurred in perhaps the philosophies of his mother, perhaps the things that occurred in the little moments that he spent with people, stories that gave him a sense of, hey, you know, I've been here, I've done this thing. And what always comes to mind to me is, you cannot build if you are unwilling to sacrifice. Meaning, okay, I'm a pretty humble guy, you know, I like doing things at an appropriate level, something that hopefully won't offend anyone too much. But the reality of the situation is, I've traveled the world, you know. I've spent the time with powerful people and asked them the questions that perhaps most people do not have in their minds. And what has that gotten me? It's gotten me to a point where, honestly, I'm happy and satisfied with the impact that I'm making. I want to increase it always and often, but it requires me to be in places like Beverly Hills. It requires me to be around people that perhaps are not so likable. Career success and likability are not correlated. My friend, it's something that a lot of people have a hard time swallowing. And honestly, it's something that I have a hard time when I'm around people. I'm like, oh, you know, I wish they showed me a little bit more love. I wish they showed me a little bit more care. It's like, dude, you haven't gotten there yet. You don't even understand what these people are going through. And that was a big enlightening moment for me too, is the benefit, the beautiful aspect of being a kind soul in your life is that anyone at any scale is going to be able to look at that and say, wow, what a good human being. They made me feel a certain way. And the kind people out of that are going to always, always, always try to give you something based on the character that you have formed. So I had an opportunity to interact with people that have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of revenue coming in from their businesses. And as it turns out, they gave me a portion of their time because I was a kind person, because I had treated them with respect, because I had the right questions in place that actually made them think, hey, this kid's been studying, this kid's been doing what he needs to do in order to make the very most out of this circumstance. So when I say to you that going to events consistently at least twice a year, and I got this from Men I Trust is actually a really good brand, but I got this from Rich Dad Poor Dad, was you got to go to at least 2 events a year. You got to network. You got to push out. You got to make sure that if you are not meeting those the level of people that you're trying to achieve in life, then you're probably not going to get to the point where you can offer value to yourself and your family. And also, you're probably not going to get to the point where you're satisfied with actually being the person that you are, right? A lot of what we're looking for in life is actually just nailing those goals that we're looking to accomplish. And nailing those goals comes down to putting in the effort, but also having a really fucking good strategy. And that goes into my next point. The thing that I discovered from Tai's house was he has a tremendous amount of planning potential, right? So a lot of us think over planning is bad, and a lot of us actually spend a decent amount of time in our life thinking to ourselves, hey, perhaps I should consistently plan, and that leads to a paralysis. It leads to an amount of not actually accomplishing the goals. Well, having a good plan is a phenomenal way to start thinking about where we need to be. So Tai actually has a 160-point plan, and of the 4 things that he consistently talks about, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness, he has 40 different points for each of those plans. The beautiful part about having that level of depth when it comes to living our lives is that we have a very, very good understanding of the things that we need to accomplish daily, monthly, yearly in order to get closer to being that person that we want to be. And that's definitely something I took away from going to his house party event is, listen, like, it's not really all that hard to put the plan together if you know thyself, if you know what you want to experience in life and how it is that you want to feel consistently. On top of that, what else I learned was he had a bit of a house party, and actually there's a video that I posted of me at the house party. And the funny part about parties in general, my friend, are if you're a party person, so be it. Parties are great. You know, if you want to go and drink and see all the pretty girls and, you know, smoke something and, I don't know, jump around, have some fun, house parties are great. However, what pissed me off a little bit was that when it comes down to it, I paid to go to this event. And when it comes down to it, when I pay to do something, it's very intentional. I want to make sure that I actually spend the time doing the things that I want to do, meaning learn, right? I went here to learn. And I didn't necessarily get that right off the bat, so I was a little peeved. I was like, oh shit, you know, now I have to go and